Welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, we will talk about the 10 things poor people get wrong about money. 1. You are poor, tired, and worn out. Why does anyone take a payday loan at 4,000% interest? Or pay £800 for a television from rent-to-own firm Bright House rather than buying it for £350 from John Lewis? Why buy junk food when it's cheaper to cook at home? Or waste £10 a week on lottery tickets when the money could be used to pay off debts? The truth is that poor people are more likely to make bad financial decisions, according to a new report from the World Bank. They borrow too much and save too little. But the report doesn't blame the poor. It says the constant, day-to-day hard choices associated with poverty affect tax and individuals' psychological and social resources and turn them into bad decision makers. 2. You fail the marshmallow test. In a 1960s psychological experiment by Stanford University, children were filmed being offered one marshmallow immediately or two later on. The researchers deliberately left the room for 15 minutes, leaving the children alone as they squirmed and struggled to defer their instant desires. On average, the children held out for no more than 3 minutes, although 1 in 3 lasted the full 15 minutes and were rewarded with 2 marshmallows. In later years, the professor in charge of the experiment, Walter Mischel, found that the children least able to defer gratification were the ones most prone to poor academic achievement and with the least capacity to plan and think ahead. 3. It's in your genes. The studies of children and deferred gratification have prompted researchers to ask if it is in your DNA. In other words, you can blame your parents if you're the type who is unable to save or is always overdrawn. The gene most frequently cited as the one that determines financial success is catechol-O-methyltransferase, or COMT. A study by the University of North Carolina found a variant of the COMT gene controls the level of the neurotransmitter dopamine in the cortex and is associated with a tendency to make impulsive decisions. 4. You are under 53 or over. The sweet spot for financial decision-making is at the age of 53. Either side of that, we are most likely to make mistakes, such as paying too much for credit cards, failing to work out interest rates, paying too many fees, and even wrongly estimating the value of one's house. Research by academics at Harvard University, the National University of Singapore, and the Federal Reserve Board also warn that by the time people get into their 80s, around half the population suffers from dementia or other cognitive impairment, rendering them much less capable of making important financial choices. 5. You are no good at maths. A bat and a ball cost £1 and 10 pence in total. The bat costs £1 more than the ball. How much does each cost? If you're like most people, you'll say the bat cost £1 and the ball 10p. The correct answer is the bat is £1 and 5 pence and the ball is 5p. It's a typical example of how people wrongly assess numeric information and, as a result, are drawn into making incorrect financial decisions. It's also why retailers use multiple discount offers that confuse shoppers into spending more than they were expecting. Classical economics assumes that participants in markets behave rationally when the reality can be different. Money matters are too complex to deal with at once and too interconnected to break down, researchers say. Unsurprisingly, we cannot hold a complete picture of our financial situation in our heads all the time. Our solution is to divide our finances and deal with each aspect separately. 6. You don't know when you are going to die. The biggest financial decision most people take in their life is buying a property and taking out a mortgage. But the second biggest is arranging their pension in an era when companies have abandoned secure final salary-based schemes. The new pension freedoms leave it up to individuals to manage their money through retirement, with all the risks that entail. The biggest unknown is how long the money has to last, as we don't know when we will die and are generally clueless about our life expectancy. 7. You can't cope with choice and complexity. Given that decisions are driven by comparing all the available options, having too many options makes it difficult to make a choice. A study at Columbia University in 2000 revealed that we cannot function when given too many options. It invited people into a laboratory and asked them to choose a jar of jam to take home for free. One group had 3 jars to choose from, one had 4, and one had 20. Those with a small selection made reasoned and logical decisions based on sensible preferences. However, those with 20 jars were unable to do so. They became overwhelmed and ended up making snap decisions. 8. You do what everyone else is doing. When forced to make a decision for which there is no precedent, our go-to solution is to look at what other people are doing. The herd mentality makes an awful lot of sense in any number of practical situations, but not when it comes to our finances. 9. If you live above the poverty line, you're doing great. With so much emphasis on the poverty line and the struggles of those below it, people commonly think of living above the poverty line as living in the green zone or living comfortably. This, however, is simply not the case. Most two-person households making $24,000 annually would struggle to make ends meet, not to mention the struggles of a four-person household trying to live on that. Additionally, few people don't understand that the federal poverty line and poverty itself are fairly different concepts. 10. Taxpayer-funded government assistance programs are not working. President Johnson devoted a $20 trillion project to fight the war on poverty, and today billions of taxpayers' dollars still go to this war, and yet we see little benefit to all this hard work. In fact, rates of poverty and homeless are growing larger than ever. This causes many Americans to come to the conclusion that our strategies are not working and that food stamps, welfare, and other intervention systems are not doing the trick. Ironically, it is this invalid conclusion that leads people to seek explanations, such as the other misconceptions. The truth, however, requires us to look more deeply into the numbers, which is a definite theme underlying the solution to many of the other misconceptions. As mentioned above, the census poverty figures are produced before taking into account government assistance apparatuses. For instance, neither SNAP, sometimes referred to as food stamps, nor refundable tax credits are accounted for in the census poverty statistics. If they were, we would see that SNAP brought 3.9 million people above the poverty line in 2010, and that the tax credit lifted 5.4 million people above the poverty line. Make sure to watch the full video. Let me know in the comment section below. Before you go, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.